are you? All right, I see my lovely wife there. I want to just do something real quick here and acknowledge, one before that. I want to acknowledge Eric and Maria. Are they incredible or what? Yeah, you love this? This been good? Unbelievable information. I think it was Richard, the poker player. I already got my money's worth. Right? Like each person has added such tremendous value, but that's our power source. Eric and Marina are our power source. They're the ones who put us all together, right? And then that's my power source right there, my wife. Babe, stand up, please. Say hi to Laura. She is incredible in network marketing, as well as the wife and mother of my children. So love her greatly. And she said something to me when I got back into the industry and started working. By the way, if you sneak that thing over my shoulder, I might knock it through the back wall. You see how that thing comes around, goes like that? Like, wow, kick that thing. So my wife said something to me that was pretty profound. She said, see if you relate to this, babe, if I don't feel as though I can train someone to have success, I don't want to sponsor them. Have you ever felt that way, that if you brought somebody in, you don't know what to do with them? You ever felt that way? And then the blood's on your hands, right? Okay, so what is it? How do you train your person? How do you get success? That's what I'm going to talk about. That's what I'm going to give you my exact detail of exactly how I created, in my first company, about $1 billion in sales, and how I started over again, some 23 years later, started all over again, and then I'm now replicating the exact same process. I'm going to tell you exactly what that is, but I want to share with you something on a big perspective, like 30,000 feet. I actually was on British Airways flying to Israel before I came here, and I had this epiphany of something. Network marketing is dynamic. The media communicates about what it is. We communicate about what it is. Somebody says, what is network marketing, or what is multi-level marketing? And we communicate what it is. Direct selling association. Now, there's no pillar and there's no distance. The Direct Selling Association defines this industry as products sold outside the retail store. Really, guys? I believe that has expired. 85% of all goods and services are sold outside the retail store. Now, it's kind of like my social studies class in 1978. Didn't even have Facebook in it. So the definition is wrong. So network marketing, it's dynamic. It fluctuates. It shifts to whatever the best marketing methods or technique at the time. Have you seen it shift? Well, I'll tell you where it's been, because that's where the objections are. So a lot of times you're getting objections for things that are old methods or old technologies that we used a long time ago. So I call it debris. So there is debris left over from how we used to market things, and that creates the objections. Let me show you this. So back when door-to-door was most effective, we used it. So I remember the doorbell ringing, ding dong. Some lady would come into the house, and my mom would buy me cologne in a blue car. Anybody ever experienced that? I know you millennials have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, and a whole car full, right? It takes about 10 years to get rid of that. Then when home parties were effective, we used it. When in the homes are effective, we use it. And by the way, is everybody just going to go work for Amazon? No, they seem to be like buying everything up. If the internet went down, all of us would just shift to a technique that works. We're not bound by any of them. That's why I say we're dynamic. We're not just dynamic in the method, but also the comfort level of the person who's doing it. So somebody says, you know what, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that. Good, fine. Okay, so when print works, when expos work, when audio cassettes, that was the primary way I built my first time, is I would go to the gas station and I was in Washington, D.C., and all these cars would come zooming in, getting ready to go get in the traffic, and I would hand them audio tapes. Okay, so when it worked, right? Fax machines, blazing speed, right? When kiosks are effective, we use them. When VHS videos, web pages, video animation. You guys remember, anybody see that video animation, Brilliant Compensation, that I did? It was like, it's cracked me up. When Google AdWords works, when Facebook works, when YouTube works, when phone apps, and whatever the next big thing. Right? Everybody take a run after Periscope? It's old technology, right? Facebook Live crushed them. Do you see how we shift? Network marketing is not defined by how. All right? So when you hear these objections, is this like Amway? It's something that was in the past. Had a lot of media around it. There's debris laying around. And so people have that objection. I don't want to bug my friends. I don't want to trick my friends to come to in-homes. I don't want to drag people to hotel rooms. Fine, don't. There's a whole lot of other ways to build. In fact, every method that everybody else has in the whole marketing world, we get to pick and choose from it. That's why I call it dynamic. There is basically only one definition that has persisted, and it's the only definition of multi-level marketing. Okay, I'm just going to tell it to you. Does it pay on more than one level? That's the definition of MLM. It's not how we do it, because it'll shift, and it's however you want to do it. And however you don't want to do it is what it isn't. Make sense? Now you've got the big overview of the way that I think and how I'm able to handle any objection that comes my way. Okay, so now let me talk to you about what I do. So these are the three things I'm going to teach you. Number one is the activities that make money. These are the things that I do. I'm not telling you how. I'm telling you this is what I do. Number two is how to train those activities. And then number four is build tribes around your passion. These I call little pods, if you will. So here we go. Does it make sense that if, I don't know, just picture a goal. Maybe that GoPro up there. Picture a goal, wrap a rope around it, and it's a long way from you, and you're going to go hand over fist and climb towards your goals, right? That's kind of the picture that I have. Now, does it make sense that there are things that you could do that would contribute to where you're heading? Right? And so we would call those activities that make money. And then there are times you just sit on the rope and do nothing, right? Those would be non-contributing activities. And then there are you sliding backwards, which would be distracting, or those that take away from your goals. And so when I first got in the industry, like Curtis had said, I was in the bomb squad, underwater bomb squad, and we had techniques. We had standard operating procedures for everything. And the guys who had gone before us, some of them died trying to figure out how to defuse a particular bomb. Guys lived. When they wrote out that that technique, I mean, literally, this is the way those standard operating procedures were done, is that a guy would go down range, he would have a piece of plexiglass, he would write, here's the step I'm about to do. And then he'd set the plexiglass down, he would do the step. And then he'd come back and he'd check it off, and then he'd write what he was going to do next. And then he would go and do it. And then, boom, pink cloud. Everybody else, we would be running down range looking for the plexiglass, because the plexiglass told us that didn't work. Don't do that step ever again. But all these steps were good to go. And so we would put those in standard operating procedures. So what I wanted to know is, what are the SOPs for MLM? How do I make, and it was 10 grand a month that my dream was, how do I make that? And it wasn't around. There was a lot of training on this and that and persistence and all of these pieces. I felt as though that I had persistence. I had all of those attributes. I wanted to know what to do. Anybody else want it? Good. Here it is. It's what I do every day. It's the deal. Okay, this is it. So number one is cultivate your goals. Look at them every day. You don't have to dwell on them. Don't have to chant on them. You just look at it. What am I after? It triggers thoughts and ideas about how to market. Number two, self-training. I have spent so much time retooling, relearning this industry. Even though I've been in it for almost 3 decades, made a lot of money, many, many millions, it doesn't stop me from realizing that it's new, it's dynamic, remember? And so that's the reason I like Richard's presentation so much, the poker guy. The next one is generate leads. The next one's connect with those leads, the appointments, presentations, retail sales, sponsor people, and then train new reps. Do you see the little numbers in parentheses beside it? As much as I'd like to say that I was learning to gamify the program, it's not what that is. That is a weighted value as to those things that contributed the most to making money. And so number 5, training new reps, contributed the absolute most, and that's the reason that I put such a value on it. And then the other ones. And so the minimum working part-time is to do about 40 points a day. So that's what I, basically every day, that's what my go-to checklist and what I get up and go do. Okay, let me tell you how I build the lines. And I've worked 2 different kinds of comp plans, uni-level, binary, hybrid, you name it. Doesn't matter, it's the same. Because your method of operation doesn't change. It's just your strategic plan changes. And so I was working on line 1 and built it and doing really, really good. But because the other side was smaller, I was only making $15 a week. I didn't come out of retirement to make $15 a week. So I began to build that line. Now I want to kind of, the line 2, as I'm stacking down that line, so I do my daily activities, I bring somebody in the business, I stack them down the line. I keep stacking. Strategically, this is the way that I build. Now, some people try to balance. I'm not a good balance guy. I'm very strategic and focused in one area. I like to create the heat, if you will. And so I keep stacking down those lines. All right, so I got that first person and he sponsored somebody, but that was it. And then I get another person and had a lot of hopes. He had a lot of ambitions. He had a lot of talk. Didn't do anything. Next person had a lot of talk. Didn't do anything. Each one of those, and always remember this, these would have been employees that I would be paying, but they do nothing. It's why I'll always be an MLM. It's why no matter how many millions I've made, I've never gone out there and done something else, because nothing's better than MLM. Because I always picture these are all the people who have a great resume, but do nothing. So I keep stacking, and then, boom, I got somebody that took off. And boy, did they ever take off. But the other side, I was only making $150 a week. So I go to work on that side, right? And then that one takes off. And then it's $3,500 a week. Times 4 times I've done this. And I have 4 other ones that one half is already built. You see strategically what you do? You do those 9 activities, you stack the lines until someone finishes it for you. That's the strategy. There's nothing more. Thank you. Somebody realized that thing. Appreciate it. So, a lot of times when we go to work, there's so many shiny objects, right? Like my gosh, the distraction factor is so overwhelming that when you zero in and you get up in the morning, you know exactly what you're going to do. As soon as the person comes in, you know exactly where they're going. Like you're just razor sharp and you don't have any hiccups. Okay, so my summary on this one is I do 9 activities every day and I keep my pipeline full. Score a minimum of 40 points a day if you're part-time. If you're full-time, I'm not going to limit you by telling you don't do something, don't stop when you're making too much money. The next one is I stack lines until someone finishes it, and this is my certainty. Okay? So that's number 1. Second, train these activities. So what is this? Is that a pyramid? If you were to look at it on CNN, they'd tell you it's a pyramid. But I'll tell you, this is actually the U.S. Navy SEAL team. It is. All right, if you look down in the lower left-hand corner, I've got a little box around that. That's called the basic unit. The 4 guys at the bottom are called shooters. The guy right above it is called the fire team leader. That's called a fire team. That's the basic function of the SEAL team, is the fire team. So guess what those 4 shooters have to know how to do? Guess what those 4 shooters have to know how to do? Thank you. Shoot. Real good. And guess what that fire team leader has to know how to do? Shoot. Real good. Because he's the one who trains them how to shoot. You get it? And so they'll push us through these kill houses that have ballistic walls, and they'll keep shooting. We keep shooting. That's what we do. We shoot. We get really good at it. The gun's not cumbersome. Where to put the bullets is not cumbersome. You get it? Because this is going to be really important when I tell you about how you train your team. So that basic unit, 1 fire team leader and 4 shooters, okay? So the shooters are across the bottom there. The fire team leader, this was our operations. Up in the right-hand corner, that was what we did on a specific day. So we'd exercise, then we'd do our morning plan of the day, and then after that we would do target practice, shooting, and then we would get a training op on some operation that we were going to do. Then we would rehearse it, we would drill it, we would do the operation, then we did a debrief on that operation about what we did good, what we did bad. The next morning we'd come and do it again. That was our life. And it's the most powerful, elite organization in the world. So when I was shown this, and I thought Amway was a train, Amtrak, Amway, people were saying it's a pyramid because of the structure, and I'm like, well, that's the SEAL team. What are you talking about? Crazy people? Like, the reason it functions is because never, ever you want to try to control more than 4 to 6 people. You can't do it. And a lot of times people who make a lot of money, they'll stand at the top and they will try to bypass all their fire team leaders and talk directly. You can give your commander's intent down, but don't bypass them. It undercuts them. And so let those fire team leaders lead. And what do they lead them to do? Oop. Let me back up one. What they lead them to do are the 9 activities. The fire team leader has to know the activities. They have to be able to do it. And so when I hand this to you and say, here are the 9 activities, I'm going to tell you, it'll bow your back. Okay, it's going to bow your back because you're going to be put in the hot seat. You're going to have to prove that you know how to generate leads. You're going to have to prove you know how to do the presentations. You're going to have to prove all those things. And then you're going to have to train them. That's a little momentary period where you transition over to being highly effective in the industry. And then you get that certainty where you want to sponsor people because you know when you sponsor somebody, you can take them to success. That's the way you own this industry. It's the way you master it. And you're never, ever a month away from a pay raise. Okay? Okay, so network marketing, when you really look at this now, it's the duplication of productive activities. When you have 1,000, 100,000 people all doing the 9 activities, the product just goes along for the ride. It's the doing of the activities that you have to replicate, just like the SEAL team replicates shooters. Okay, so when you get someone to go to work with you, start with small steps, write the goals, just have them write their goals, watch a couple of videos, maybe generate 10 leads, do 3-way calls with those that answer the phone. That's the beginning. And then you want to increase that standard. It is not what you preach, it's what you tolerate. If you tolerate 0 performance, it will become what everybody yields to. If you tolerate people to come in late in your meetings, it becomes the standard. I show up in Israel and they say everybody always comes in 15, 20 minutes late. Why? You let the standard drop. If I lived in Israel, I'd shut the door at 7 o'clock. Nobody could get in. If 7:20 is the standard, you got a 20-minute slide factor. Okay? So you increase the standard. Now go to 20. No team becomes a winning team who doesn't have increasing standards. You have to increase it. All right? So you just keep on repeating that. Okay? So the whole concept is when you train until they can't do it wrong. Most amateurs train until they get it right. I got it. I know how to do it. Right? But then they'll fail. Because when it's under pressure, when things go bad, they don't know what to do. Okay? So you got to train it until you can't do it wrong. Because in combat, everything goes wrong. So you want to be better. Hard training is a solemn duty of a leader. It is how you take care of your people. People join you or people join me because they want to become great. The reason that I joined the teams is because I wanted to be a lead. I wanted them to beat me up. I wanted them to take me to another level. And when people join you, it is because they want you to take them to another level. Last thing I want to share with you is kind of the biggest shift. Everybody talks about duplication. What is it? Truthfully, in today's world, it was a concept back in Amway, but today everybody's doing different things, right? How can I get somebody who is in postcards, who has a postcard business, and I try to tell them they need to do in-homes? Right? Like, how do you get all this stuff to work together? Well, what we've been doing is we've been doing tribes, building cultures or tribes. One is choose your favorite product in your line, whatever that one thing is. And then attract your tribe around a passion. Okay, so, and remember, your vibe attracts your tribe. Okay, so if you've got a whole bunch of bad energy people, it's you. There are no bad teams, there's only bad leaders. That's a load of responsibility. And it sucks when you realize it. But it'll blow your back Do the 9 activities, you'll get good energy. All right, so my buddy Steve, he builds by throwing outlandish parties. He's partying all the time, but he builds a whole culture around it, and the product goes along for the ride, right? So if they drink too many, they take a lotion potion kind of a thing, and it gets rid of the hangover, and wow, what a team. But he builds an incredible business, all right? He passed me for top earner, throwing parties. Really? Stefan does adventures, all right? Skydiving. He creates an experience for people. James over in the UK, he does these big events, right? Monster events. I chose getting fit. So I chose a product. I had to lead it. I'm in the bottom left there. I shredded. I built a culture of older men who wanted to lose belly fat, right? The one to the right, bunch of young millennials, right? They love these fancy cars. They load everybody up. They'll drive down. They'll pull into a restaurant with like Lamborghinis everywhere and fancy watches. They dress to the nines. They step out, and all these people go, "What?" They come over. "What do you guys do?" "Oh, we're on a team." "What team?" "Give me your card." So that's the way they build. And what unites all of the tribes on my team? These 9 activities. You see, I can't tell them how to generate a lead because they're doing it in different ways. I can show them all the different ways, but they're generating different leads. What's their presentation? Well, different presentations, the guys who are doing fancy cars versus the guy doing parties are not doing the same. But they're all generating leads. They're all doing presentations. And so we unite everybody on the team through these things right here. And so in summary, network marketing is always involving, these are the techniques that are working right now for me. Okay? And then I have one disagreement with everything that's been talked about at GoPro. And Eric said it. He walked right over there, and he's leaning over that counter, and he said it. He said, network marketing is hard. We need to let people know that. And I sat over there, and I thought, what? Hard? I used to jump out of airplanes, people shooting while I'm on my way down. I used to be at 250 feet looking for a bomb in the bottom of the ocean, right? My suit weighed 234 1/4 pounds. You ought to try to climb the side of a ship wearing that thing. Attrition, it's when my teammate got shot in the head. People quit, it's hard. Are you kidding? Really? Thank you so very much. I love you all.